First step of personal branding. Awesome. So keep it subjective to agency and no hashtags. Hi, what's up, Neil? How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Happy to see you today again. Everything okay with you?
Everything's good. Just busy morning, but everything's good. How's everything with you?
All perfect, Neil. And how's your daughter?
She's good. She slept well last night, so that's always a good thing.
Awesome. That's great. And how's the weather there?
Weather's not bad. It's cloudy, but it's early in the morning, so I'm gonna guess within, I don't know, like 3, 4 hours, it should be quite nice and sunny. So
Awesome. So are you set for today's session? It's a very interesting topic today, the future of digital marketing agency, or I would say everything to do with digital marketing agency. Are you set for it?
I'm ready to go. I just finished,
Awesome.
funny enough, I wrapped up my last email, so let's do it.
All right. So let's get it going. Here is the first question for you tonight, Neil. How did you start your digital marketing agency career and when was this?
Sure. So when I was 15 and a half, I learned how to do SEO and marketing back then. That was a long time ago, roughly 20 years ago. And, from there, I used it to grow my own traffic. By the time I was 16, I gave a talk in a classroom, college class on speech. It was a speech class, but I gave a talk on SEO and how to do marketing. Someone then hired me from there, and then I did well for them, and they referred a few more customers, and that's how my agency started. It was word of mouth, very early on at the beginning.
Wow. So at the age of 16 is when you started, you saying?
Correct.
Wow. And how did you get your first client? Was it from the college talk or was it from?
College talk. I gave a speech on how SEO worked, and someone's like, "Hey, my company's looking for someone like you. Do you want to do something?" And that's how it started.
So the first important tip right here is to start doing a lot of public speaking because that gives you an opportunity to get your first client. And I think that's how I got my first client because I was part of a entrepreneurship network in the city, and that's where I got my first ever client there in the city. So what's your source of leads today, and what kind of verticals you work with?
My source of leads is word of mouth or inbound marketing like SEO, content marketing, social media marketing, etc. And we work in all verticals. We're vertical agnostic. So any vertical, it could be B2B, B2C, it could be e-commerce, it could be lead generation, it could be software as a service. It doesn't matter. We work pretty much in all verticals.
So you're trying to say that any problem with respect to digital marketing is what you solve in your agency.
Almost any problem. Like if someone said, "Hey, can you help run an affiliate program for us?" We won't do that kind of stuff, but we do almost everything.
Awesome. And so you don't do any cold pitches, no cold emailing, nothing. So it's purely your visibility, your Google traffic that helps you in getting your clients out there. So I
It's a,
predominantly think,
it's a combination of everything, right? Google traffic, social media, going live like this, putting videos on YouTube. It's a combination of everything. Doing a podcast, it all helps.
awesome. And I have one more question. So basically, I believe a lot of your clients are for SEO is because that's how your visibility is stronger.
A lot are SEO, a lot are also paid. So Facebook ads, Google ads, those are our two
Awesome.
big buckets.
And these are predominantly from markets like the US or Brazil, where I think your visibility is very strong in Brazil and India. So where is your clients majorly from?
Everywhere. So we have a Brazilian office for our Brazilian clients. We have an India office for our India clients. We have a US office for our US clients. We have Australia office for our Australian clients, etc. So we're pretty spread out.
Awesome. What's the idea behind starting a digital marketing agency in India?
India is a booming market. I think if people are ignoring India, they're making a big mistake, especially right now.
Awesome. So how do you see the future of digital marketing agencies?
That's a really good question. I think it's actually going to change quite a bit over the next 3, maybe 5 years at the latest. See, right now we're used to traditional channels like SEO, social media. There's going to be more and more channels like the TikToks of the world, the Pinterests of the world are going to get more popular. So agencies are going to have to do a few things. Learn how to adapt to multiple channels. Right now, most of them are used to just dealing with text or images, You're going to have to start dealing with things like video and audio files. People are also going to have to learn to adapt to new devices and marketing on new devices that they never thought they would have before. For example, Alexa is a very popular device, right? You can talk into Alexa and it'll give you answers. So many people are using it, eventually more and more marketers will have to adapt to these devices. And to give you guys a quick stat, in 2020, this year, according to ComScore, 50% of the searches are now through voice search in the United States. You're going to see that globally, and you're going to see that number increase over time as well. So marketers are going to have to learn to adapt to new channels, and they're going to be like, how do I market on these voice devices? Well, you're going to have to learn to use apps like Jetson AI, where you can make your website where people can buy from you through voice search and things like that.
So you're trying to say the more, I think the agencies have to be technology driven, video driven, voice enabled platforms has to be adapted. Is what you're trying to say right now. I think. Do you think that adapting to this helps the agencies overall? Where do you see the agency culture going now that there is an agency in every street in India? Where do you see, like, what's the future? Like, I see that it's become pattern that people with 1-2 years of experience just starting an agency these days. What do you see? How do you see that trend coming?
Yeah, I think you're going to have more competition, more people starting agencies, but there's not going to be a ton of great agencies that are full service. To succeed in the agency world, I believe you're going to have to be full service and do everything from soup to nuts. And a lot of people with 1 or 2 years experience that are small shops, they may have one or two specialties, but they can't necessarily do everything. And you're going to get some clients, but when you only do one or two things for clients, you'll see high churn, in which a client pays you for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then they cancel. But when you integrate within their business and you become more like a partner, and you're helping them with every aspect of marketing, you'll notice that your clients are more sticky and they're going to produce better results for them as well.
Awesome. Neil, in the last 3 months, there are many who have started digital marketing agency, thinking that's the need of the pandemic situation or post-pandemic situation. What's your take?
Uh, yeah, if you want to talk about post-pandemic, if there's a need, the easiest one is just e-commerce. More people are jumping online. 12% of the world's transactions, commerce transactions, only happen online. The majority are still offline. So if you want to talk about a need, going e-commerce first is going to be a bigger need than creating an agency.
Cool. Um, there are many who are one-person army at the moment and been freelancing. What advice would you like to give to them to scale? Just to all the freelancers out there who's just running their show, sitting at wherever they are.
Yeah, what I would do is I would connect with other freelancers, get to know more people, and you can start partnering up. And the reason being is when you have projects and work that you can't do because you have overflow, then you can give them work and take a cut. At the same time, if you partner with other people who offer a little bit different services, when their clients need services that you offer, they can refer business to you. And when you have customers who need services that your other players offer but you don't, you can refer business to them. It's an easy way
Awesome.
to grow.
Awesome. So you're trying to say that collaborating with other freelancers, finding out their strengths, and then building up a team of freelancers so that you can pass on the work whenever there's a requirement, and that's the way forward, is what you suggest.
Yeah, because it's an easier way to scale. If someone's already paying someone else, there's a good chance that they can also pay you too. And if they're happy with that person, if they refer business to you, there's a really good chance it'll convert.
Which are the top three freelancing platforms according to you?
Upwork, freelancer.com, and Fiverr.
Fiverr, Upwork, and freelancer.com. And do you have your profiles there, or you don't even touch those platforms?
I don't really touch them. We don't really do freelance work.
And do you want your business development team to be there on these platforms to source for clients, or they are not?
We do not. We don't look for clients from these platforms. We're not looking for one-off jobs. We're looking for long-term engagements. And for that reason, we don't really touch too much freelance stuff.
Okay. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges of running an agency?
Ooh, the biggest challenge is A, closing customers, and B, retaining customers. Those are the two biggest challenges by far. Because how do you go get customers? And then once you get them, how do you keep them for not 3 months or 5 months or 6 months, but years?
Wow. So you're saying building customers and retaining customers. These are some of the biggest challenges. What's the average span do you see a customer stays with an organization like yours?
In the years, but if you're starting off, you're going to see people stick around for 3, 6 months, and that's it.
Wow. You're saying 3 to 6 months is a
For
span
most
of a
for most people, yeah, most people who are closing clients, we're not seeing them keep them longer than 6 months. Now, it's different for us, but we have a massive team, so it's also not as profitable when we get a customer. But
true.
our business model isn't to get as much profit as you can, it's to provide the most value and results and keep the customer as long as you can. So we don't make as much money in the short run, but we keep them a lot longer.
Wow. Um, so besides this, how do you define the leadership in an agency environment? You being a CEO of no, founder of Neil Patel Digital, how do you define the leadership and the hierarchy inside the organization?
So my co-founder Mike Camo found them all. I'll be honest, he's really good at recruiting, and we just keep searching and searching until we find the right people. It's a lot of work. We have a team of recruiters. We do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn. We hit people up. Our model and our thesis with hiring is really simple. Hire people who have done it before, and ideally not once before, but at least twice. Because if they did it once successfully before, it could have been luck. If they did it twice before successfully, chances are they're good at it and they'll do well for you.
Wow. So you're trying to say hire an experienced candidate instead of just hiring a random candidate and train them up to become someone meaningful.
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. So, so you strongly believe that an agency is an environment built, or a good agency is about good people and good, I would say, good client servicing personalities. Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Um, So you said to retain a client is to retain a client is one of the biggest challenges. What you've said. What tip would you suggest to agency owners to retain the clients to retain the existing clients? A lot of them have lost their clients during the pandemic, including I have lost a lot of clients.
I know.
So
It's
yeah,
tough. And during the pandemic, you're gonna have people canceling, and it's tough right now because people are cutting budgets. So it's one of the hardest time. But when it comes to retaining, the biggest thing that we found is A, you complete the work on time and you go above and beyond. And B, and the B is very important, is you have amazing communication with the clients. Because if you're communicating with them on a regular basis, you're doing the reports, you're doing everything that's necessary instead of just talking to them once a month. Like if you have constant communication every few days, calls every week, and they're in the loop, you're much more likely to retain them.
wow. And did you see the trend of agencies cutting down their employees, salaries of their employees during the pandemic? Do you see this trend continuing for another few months now?
I don't know if that trend will keep going. If there's a recovery, no, but if there isn't, then sure, it depends where you are in the world. A lot of companies did layoffs. It sucks. It's one of the shittiest things to do as a business owner, and we had to go through that as well because just during the pandemic, we just lost so much business in a matter of, I think, the first month was bad. Within the first 2 months, it was really bad. Um, but hopefully things recover. I know in some parts of the world, the government is trying to help and provide funds so that way you can retain more employees. The U.S. rolled out a program that was really helpful called the Payroll Protection Program, which would be help to retain employees. And hopefully, more governments around the world do things like that to help retain the people. Because right now, during these times, as a business owner, if you don't make as much, and maybe I'm biased here, but I think that's okay. The goal is to make sure your team, your staff is covered. They have families to feed, they have children, right? It's more important for them to, get paid and survive, because as a business owner, you take the risk of being an entrepreneur. If someone should be the first one to lose money, it should be you.
Right. That's a very interesting part. You said that US has a scheme called the Payroll Protection Program. We don't have a
Uh,
scheme like that in the country. So what happens inside that scheme?
So the payroll protection program was released by the government when the pandemic first started, and what it was is they said, "Hey, we'll help if you're a business that's been hit really hard through coronavirus or COVID-19. We will help compensate for some of your employees in your payroll for the next 2 months,
Wow.
and that helps because then when you're bleeding money and you're losing and you're negative, anything that you can get that helps is better than nothing.
Right. So should agency focus on a niche instead of servicing everyone? Can they be serving only one or two industries?
When you're starting out, yes, you should focus on a niche. When
Right.
you've been doing this for a long time, you don't need to focus on a
But don't you
niche.
think that's an opportunity to scale up as a process oriented agency? Because if I pick up a niche and I define the process for it entirely, then it becomes a process oriented agency. Otherwise, it's a creative led strategic agency with different verticals. Otherwise, I mean, it's scopeful to adapt the same in different markets. Let's say I'm doing real estate, so I can adapt in different markets because the process is same. So what's your take on that?
No, you're totally right. And when you're starting off, you should pick a vertical because it allows you to scale, produce better results, keep your costs lower, increase your margins, and grow faster. Once you're big, what you'll find out is, or once you're more, not even big, but once you're older, you want to consider expanding out of a vertical and add in more verticals or be vertical agnostic. And the reason being is there's much more clients if you're not specific to one vertical. But at the beginning, I think you definitely need a focus because it helps differentiate yourself. But in the long run, by all means, focus on multiple verticals.
Awesome. So, Neil, I have a question. So, when you hire a client, what kind of guarantees or promises you give to them,
None.
and what do you
You
think is
can't
their major crux? Yeah,
you can't give guarantees. You don't control the algorithms. I don't control the algorithms. What you can do is you can guarantee that you're going to do the work and do what's best for them. And if something doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Now, in most cases, you should know as a marketer before you take on a client if you think you can provide results by analyzing their business, what they're doing wrong, what can be fixed in their marketing. But you're never going to have a 100% success rate. And I hate to say it, I would be lying if I said I had a 100% success rate. And then you just want to improve and adjust over time.
awesome. Most of the agencies these days are venturing into a tech product or education. What's your take on that?
Uh, People are doing both. There's nothing wrong with either a tech product or like software or education. Like you're big in education right now and courses and certifications. I think both models work. You got to figure out what you're passionate about and go from there. Some people do both. They do tech, they do education, and they have an agency. You have to figure out what you're most passionate about because there's not enough time in the day to do everything.
Okay, that's great. What do you think are some of the biggest fears of an agency owner?
Some of the biggest fears as an agency owner, the biggest fear that I've seen, and I'm going to give you one, but this is the biggest one, and most people don't have this fear at the beginning, but they do once they're 6 months to a year in it. It's the income stability. So as an agency owner, what you'll find out is your income fluctuates a lot, and it makes you go into a roller coaster of emotions because some months are great and you have a lot of clients paying you, and some months are terrible and you lose a lot of clients.
True. So, can you just repeat it again? Did you just say income instability is one of the biggest fears of an agency owner?
It is.
Okay,
Once you get
and
started, people have issues with income. I would too. I remember when I first started my agency years and years ago, I was like, crap, this month's great. This is amazing. Then I'll be like, crap, the next month's terrible. I lost so many of my customers. And it happens a lot to all of us, especially during times like this. We see it more than anything else.
right. And I believe perseverance is one of the most important things at this point of time. What is that motivates you to keep going?
What keeps me motivated to just keep going is I love what I'm doing. I love helping out small and medium businesses. I love
Right.
marketing in general.
Perfect. That's amazing. And I remember the kind of insights that you bring in your presentations, a lot of agency insights, which makes your sessions very interesting in all your keynote speeches that I've heard so far. What leadership qualities you foresee in a good agency management person or a team?
Sure. Insights for good agency owner, management, or team. The biggest one is you're saying so the biggest thing that is necessary if you want to be an agency owner or a manager is first is you need process, because if you don't have processes, you can't scale. And then the second thing is you need creativity. And the first one, process, I don't really need to go much too into depth on that because everyone understands if you have process, it's easier to scale, get things done, and get them done right. But the creativity, and this is the one that's probably one of the most important because every customer is different, even if they're in the same industry. Some people are starting off in different places. Some people have more money. Some people have constraints. And if you can't figure out creative ways to get around their constraints and come up with solutions, you're not going to do well. And people are going to fire you. And yes, you may be like, well, they didn't do this and they didn't do that. They didn't change the code. Well, it doesn't matter. They're hiring you to solve their problems. And if you can't help solve them within their constraints, you're not going to do well.
Awesome. Um, so Neil, if you're given a choice between Uber Suggest and Neil Patel Digital, and you have to pick just one to go forward with and put all your guns there, which one would that be?
Neil Patel Digital. So
Okay.
I love Uber Suggest. Uber Suggest is a passion project that doesn't make me money. Um, so sadly, I would go with the one that makes me money because I have to pay bills.
Did you just say that sadly you'll have to go with the one which gives you money?
Well, what I mean sadly is in which I love Uber Suggest and I love the agency. And I know it came out wrong, but I do Uber Suggest because I love it. It's passion. And I wouldn't want to give up either, but I would have to give it up for something that makes me money. Now, the agency doesn't make me a ton of money right now or anything like that because the economy is bad. So it is what it is. But I have bills to pay, right? Just like everyone else. I wish I could just do stuff for free all day long. Um, like, you know, if I could do charity work all day or help people within my community, that would make me ecstatic. I would pick that over the agency as well. But I have to pay bills at the end of the day. I would
Awesome.
actually pick that over
Same,
everything. I
same,
would pick that
same
over.
thoughts here. Same thoughts here. Um, Constantly on the back of my mind as an agency owner that I've been losing clients back to back. But then we have to keep the show going on, and whether you love it or you don't love it, we have to keep the show on. That's so true. I love that thoughts there, and you be very honest about it. And I really love the fact that you're always being very honest about things. Um, Neil, what are the best two things you enjoy about the agency life, and what are those two things that you don't enjoy about agency life?
So I'll give you one for each. I'll give you two for each. The
Okay,
first one is that I love, and this is the part that I love the most, is creativity. You get to be so creative, experiment, try different things with different businesses, and I really do love that. The second thing I love is you learn about so many new industries. And you meet all these companies, and even though I'm teaching them how to do marketing better and I'm implementing it, I'm also learning from them because every business grows in different ways. Every business has their own strategies. So those are my two things that I love. The thing I hate the most is some clients expect the world for free. um, and you'll be shocked on how many times people just want you to do more and more for free. And you want to protect your reputation. You want to try to do as much as possible for uh, each customer. But sometimes, literally, like you should see, sometimes clients will expect us to do like 4 or 5 months worth work of free, have me lose the money, and then I have to pay my staff as well, right? And I get that everyone is in their own situations, but that does happen. Another thing that I probably hate is the hiring process. It is really hard to find good people, and you have to go through and agencies are very human intensive, right? Resource intensive. It requires a lot of people, and I love working with people, and I love hiring people, but the process of hiring and finding people is a pain.
true. I think I can just get your pain, and I have an empathy for what you've just said, because I think it's the same everywhere. All agency owners have the same problem across the world, and that's nothing new because it's a people-oriented business, and it's part and parcel of the same. What is the craziest thing that you have done to win a client?
I don't know if there's one crazy thing. We try not to go above and beyond in the way like getting him gifts or sending gift baskets or anything like that. Our belief is we put in so much time and energy before even a client signs on, and we create all the processes, documentation, show them what they're going to get, analyze the business, tell them how to fix it, and we break it all down, and we try to be as thorough as possible and even fit within their organizational structure so we know we can get things done and get the results going. And either at the end, they'll either choose us or they won't. But
Awesome.
I don't do crazy stuff, and I don't believe in it. Like, some people will buy people gifts, give employees in a company kickback saying, hey, if you hire us, I'll give you this money. Like, we won't do that kind of stuff.
Nice. I think that's an important thing. Doing the research about the organization that you're going to work with, in-depth understanding of the subject, giving a very foolproof plan to them, which makes them feel that the kind of work that we have done is very, very intense, which is very important part. Very well said. Which also, so what are some of the most important things that you put in your presentation when you're pitching to a brand?
So there's not like anything specific like this is important. Our pitches are all custom. And the biggest thing, and I'll break down the structure, is we'll go over who we are. We'll go over their business. We go over their competition. We break down everything that they're doing wrong. We then show them examples of other people in their space that are doing these things right and the results. And then we also break down how they can do all these things, what it'll take, how long it'll take, what are the steps, what we can do, what we need them to do, where we need them to help out. We just go from there.
Right. Do you enjoy working with larger enterprises, small, medium enterprises? What's your favorite?
I don't really have a favorite. I more so look at it as the more challenging the problem, the more fun I have.
The one who pays you more is where your heart is, maybe.
No. It's whoever has a more challenging problem.
The one who has more challenging problem is where your guns are like. Awesome.
Because remember, when someone has a challenging problem and you have to help them solve it, you're using creativity and you're having fun trying to figure out a solution. It's like someone saying you can't do something, right? It's like a game. And can you accomplish that goal even though the odds are against you? That's fun for me.
Right. Starting up an agency is the easiest of all tasks. Scaling up is the challenge. What is your advice to people who wants to scale up their agency? What's the way forward? Do you think it's easy to invite investments in an agency? That's number one. Do you think
No.
it's easy for Do you think easy for someone to acquire an agency? What do you think? Where from this perspective, where do you see the future of agencies? Because a lot of people get excited to start an agency, but they just after they start and after a year they realize that they can't scale it up, and that is when they just feel very worked up and they quit. So what is your advice in this case with respect to starting an agency and scaling an agency, especially the scaling part? What are those measures that you would want an agency owner to take?
So, uh, first off, when it comes to agency and getting investment, I don't think it makes sense. Agencies aren't a high return business. You can make some decent cash over the years if you're big enough, but you're not going to create the next Google investing in an agency. The biggest agencies are multi-billion-dollar companies, but they got that way by just buying up other agencies. As for your second question, when it comes to scaling up, how do you scale up? You have to have leaders in each position who are good at what they do. So if you're doing SEO, you have to have someone who owns SEO, someone who owns paid, someone who owns sales, someone who owns account services or client services. And then they have to have processes in place on how to train, deal with objections from customers, how to retain, how to upsell, how to sell, whatever it may be. And like I said, it comes down to hiring amazing people, which is really hard to do.
Cool. What is that advice that you would like to give to all the agency owners in 2020 or aspiring agency owners in 2020?
I would keep your teams really lean. You know, it's funny, everyone wants to scale and be big and have a ton of employees. I'll tell you this. I know so many more agency owners that are smaller that have way more profit than us. They have a lot less revenue, more profit because they don't have as big team. Scaling up an
So you're saying,
agency, scaling up an
go ahead,
agency,
I'm listening.
employing a lot of people, it's fun and I love it to death and I wouldn't do it any other way. But keep in mind, your costs go through the roof and it is much harder to make a profit.
True. So trying to say go lean and make more profits. That's the way forward.
Especially during these times. And that's what I would
Okay.
do
A
in the
lot of people, A lot of people think opening up agencies in different cities is a byproduct of scaling up. Do you agree, disagree?
No, you can do so many things virtual now. Think about how many people don't go into office anymore. Why have all these offices when you don't need them? It's extra money being spent. If you're going to spend the money, spend it on the people. Give them higher salaries, hire more, whatever it may be. Spend it on people. Don't spend it on rent.
Awesome. What is that one thing that you believe is very important for keeping the agency culture alive?
You have to hire people who are a cultural fit. If you don't hire people who are a cultural fit, who don't believe in the same values that you do, that the organization does, then you're not going to do well.
And what do you mean by cultural fit? Can you define that a little bit more?
Cultural fit is, do they believe in the same values? Like, I'm a big believer in you really try to do what's best for the customer, even if they don't think it's the best. For example, I once had a customer that was spending years and years ago $5 million a month on ads. And I told them 3 million of their spend wasn't producing any results and they should only spend 2. That would make me less money. I also got fired for it because they still wanted to spend the 5, even though only 2 was bringing a ROI. The other 3 was literally being flushed down the drain.
True.
But I believe doing what's best for customers, even if it's not what's best for you.
True. I think I completely agree to that. One of the most important thing as an agency also, we've always kept it very transparent how much we are spending for you, what we are spending, where we are spending, how we are spending. We don't cheat them. We make it very transparent. I always believe that treat customer with utmost respect, sincerity, and honesty, and you'll always see them respecting you the most. So I think that's a very interesting point, which many people think that fooling their client is one of the best ways to make money, which is not true, and that's something that you should not be doing. Very, very good and very interesting points. Anything else that you would like to share from your experience of managing an agency and scaling an agency by far? And who are some of your biggest clients in India, Neil? If you would like to share, or if you want to keep it confidential, absolutely okay.
We don't really talk too much about clients, so I'll keep that confidential.
Sure.
But I'll give everyone one tip that's going to really help them. You have to be patient and give it at least 5 years. Agencies aren't built overnight. It's a long, slow grind. If you don't give it at least 5 years, you won't scale up to a decent enough size.
True. I totally agree to this because I think it took me 7 years to stabilize my agency and complete churn of a set of people out, then a new set of people, and then finally getting into stabilized mode. So I believe you've just rightly said. Now, one last question. The question is, when you are in the process of scaling up an agency, right? And a lot of people are extremely anxious, especially the agency owners right now in India are thinking, should they continue running an agency? Because many of them started their agency in 2008 and 2009. Okay. That's when the agency boom started in this country, and everybody started. Some of them started way back then, and they've been in the industry for 10 years, and they feel that they're stuck right there, and they don't know what's the call that they should take with the agency now because they are not able to scale up to a and not able to really raise their bars, because every time they do that, they go back to the same problems of people or losing their clients. These are two biggest challenges. Now, to them at this point of time, when they're in two thoughts, should I be running an agency, not running an agency? What is that you would like to tell them at this point of time?
First off, it's not a bad business, so why wouldn't you continue running one? What else are you going to do, right? And the second thing I would tell you is the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not easier running an educational business. It's not easier running a technology company. They all have its own set of problems. Be happy with what you have, even if it's not the most money that you're making, or even if you're not growing as fast. Right now in this climate, there's so many people out there who are struggling. So be appreciative of what you have, and if you have a little bit extra, try to help others.
Awesome, Neil. This is an amazing conversation with you, and it's always great to learn from you. Um, any advice that you would like to give to people at the end? That one last golden tip or the nugget coming from you, Neil?
You know, in the agency world, there's a lot of roller coasters. There's a lot of ups and downs. And a wise man once told me when I was much younger, when things are going really well for you, just remember, there's someone else who always has it better than you. And when things are really terrible for you and you're losing a lot of customers and people are quitting and you're finding things really hard, remember, there's people out there who have it much worse than you. People living in tents, people not having a home, not having food. So that usually keeps you grounded and puts you in perspective of how blessed you are in life and to appreciate everything you have in every moment.
Gratitude is the key and the way forward. and the source of abundance is paying gratitude all the time. That's very well put across by you, Neil. Thank you so much. And I know you have a meeting, so I just wanted to keep it very short, but it's always great to learn from you. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to host you again on next Thursday and discuss a lot more interesting stuff with you. Yes, thank you. And always do the way you've been doing great things. So I'm just going to now allow people to take a photo, just a quick photo. All of you who enjoyed this session, click a photo, give us a shout out on Instagram, tag both of us. It would help us and actually help you too in keeping this momentum going on and on. So Neil, just a quick pose. Thank you. I hope you guys have taken the screenshot, a quick one of all. Neil, I'll catch up with you in 2 minutes. I know you have 10 minutes for your session, so I'll catch up with you now and
Perfect.
maybe have a quick 10 minutes discussion before you go into your meeting. Yes?
Perfect. That works.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was Neil Patel, and it was a pleasure hosting this gentleman. Some of you in the chats were commenting why there are less number of people in the live. People were commenting saying that maybe Saurav has got fake followers. Trust me, there are things larger than life in this. And I think you should just focus on the content and learn from the people who are part of these live sessions. If you really want to do these kind of chit-chatting, move off of this, and maybe you should take up another chat room and have discussions like that. So that's just about it. It was a always pleasure hosting all of you. You guys are truly, truly awesome. Thank you so much, and gratitude from bottom of my heart for being part of the session. Love you. And this video is going to be there in my Instagram on IGTV. You guys can watch it whenever you want to watch it. And do tag your friends, do share this with your friends out there. Whoever is an agency owner needs to watch this. I wanted to do this because every agency owner right now in this country, outside of this country, is going through a really tough time. And I wanted to do this for all of them because, you know, in this, only thing that matters is unity. And if you could help each other, and this is my way to help them, this is my way to give back to the community by bringing Neil and discussing on this topic. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Loving you all so much. I have to catch up with Neil right now on a chat or a conversation. So take care. Goodbye.